It's a new year, ladies and gentlemen, and a brand new quarter for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And because of that, you guessed it, it's time for our quarterly top 10 Zeta list. I do these every 3 months or so because not much in the game changes from a month-to-month basis, but 3 months is a good indicator to kind of make sure you know what is the best stuff going on in Galaxy of Heroes. These are usually one of my more watched videos every single quarter, so thank you so much for watching and liking this video. But guys, let's just get right into it. Let's talk about number 10 on our list, Kylo Ren Unmasked. So he was about number 9 in the last lesson. We're moving him down to number 10. Not that he lost viability, it's that there's other better stuff out there, but Kylo Ren Unmasked and his Merciless Pursuit Zeta drastically changes the First Order. He did make my list for top 10 best first Zeta investments. He drastically changes the First Order with all these bonuses right here with the extra speed, the turn meter gain, the critical damage, but more importantly, the 5% health and 5% protection regeneration really helps out the First Order. And the First Order composes a very good B grade team, which is very helpful for Grand Arena, a very important part of the game, territory wars, territory battles, and we don't see much in Arena unless you're very low on the spectrum. That might be neat, but luckily this Zeta, it can be used in so many other things, such as the Sith Raid. He makes a very good Phase 4 Sith Raid team as well, if that's something you're trying to tackle. Now moving on to number 9, this guy nearly got axed entirely from the list until the Golden God saved him, and that guy is gonna be Finn Zeta. So he was number 10 on our list last time in September when we made this video, and he barely made the list then, and he almost was gonna get completely cut off the list until C-3PO came into the game, and the leadership Zeta on Finn, balanced tactics, drastically got so much better where now it's not even last on the list, it's number 9 on the list, I think, mainly because C-3PO. Now we're assuming you have C-3PO, and if you do, you gotta get the Zeta, because the main highlight is that Finn Zeta allows the Resistance team, Finn Zeta, Han Solo, Commander Luke Skywalker, C-3PO, it allows them to solo and auto about 90% of the whole entire heroic AAT raid. You gotta do a little bit of work in phase 1 on manual, but after that you hit auto and you can solo the entire thing, and it's all because of Finn Zeta and C-3PO constantly calling people to assist and all the cooldown reductions in the Zeta and the turn meter gain. Finn Zeta saw a big improvement with C-3PO, and oddly enough, he kind of works in Arena too with C-3PO, Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Finn. You're getting a lot of exposes, you're getting a lot of turn meter, and I've actually came across Finn, and sometimes this guy can give you some trouble. Now, number 8 on our list is gonna be the big Bosk Daddy right here. Bosk, he didn't make the list last time. That list that we made last time was September of 2018, and it was before Chewbacca was announced, and bounty hunters are just an important aspect of the game. They were probably one of the biggest highlights for 2018 with all of their reworks, and every single bounty hunter has a leadership ability, but the two most notable ones in general are Jango Fett and Bosk. But for most people, the Bosk Zeta on the hunt with all the health and protection recovery, anytime a debuff or is being applied or resisted, you're getting so much stuff, which is why this is a great phase 2 leader for the heroic Sith raid. And with Grand Arena being so important, this makes a very good offensive and defensive team for Grand Arena, and then of course territory wars and then territory battles. A lot of ways to use him. Not a lot of arena viability up at the top end because Revan blew any sort of arena viability that was there, but overall, bounty hunters are just such an important part of the game, and I just think people should look at Bosk if they're trying to find a very good B+ team out there. Now, this list is kind of going to change a little bit because of how C-3PO and Chewbacca mix things up, mainly towards the direction of Resistance and Rebels getting some viability. And Han Solo, I mean, he's been on this list for a while. I don't see him going anytime soon. Shoots first is an amazing Zeta, even if as a first Zeta, mainly because he's attacking twice. Although, yeah, he's dealing 50% less damage, it's a lot of damage coming out. And when Han shoots first at the very beginning, he's gonna hit people twice at the beginning with a big amount of damage, and his viability changed a lot because of how Chewbacca and C-3PO were added. With C-3PO, we talked about this many times, he allows Rebels to apply Expose on their basic attack. So Han Solo is going to apply Expose first because he shoots first, then he's going to hit a second time, hit that Expose, and then he's going to leave another Expose right behind it, and on top of that do huge damage. And if Chewbacca's on the team, Chewbacca's going to come in and assist off Han Solo, and there's just a lot of damage. So right there, pretty much like 3 Exposes being hit between Han Solo and Chewbacca. So very important Zeta, used for a variety of things. And this character, unlike the past few, has a lot of arena viability. Because of Commander Luke Skywalker and C-3PO, we're seeing Han Solo play a really important part in arena right now. Now, number 6 on the list is a beautiful face that a lot of you guys are happy to see. Vassula. Now, this character was number 3 on my list in September because there wasn't any other Jedi alternative at the time. Obviously, now we have Jedi Knight Revan, but before Jedi Knight Revan, Vassula is the way to go if you want the second best Jedi team in the game, and that is with Initiative. With Initiative, you're getting a ton of protection, but most importantly, you're getting the pre-taunts on Jedi tanks, and with that protection, you're getting 150% tenacity, which allows you to go head on with Palpatine lineups without really worrying much. And obviously, the main counters to Vassula's lead is mostly Commander Luke Skywalker with Chewbacca and C-3PO and Han Solo, and then Jedi Knight Revan and Darth Trias. But before you even get there, if you don't see Revan, you don't see Trias, you don't see C-3POs and Chewbaccas, this is a huge character. Again, a character that made my top 10 best first Zeta list. This character and Initiative drastically changed Jedi. They do crazy amounts of damage in the AAT rate, and in the Sith rate, they do millions of damage. They don't do not as much as Jedi Knight Revan, but again, the next best thing to Jedi Knight Revan for Jedi is Vassula. Now we're finally here in the top 5, and this guy, my man, Palpatine. He dropped in some viability. He was number 4 last time. We're knocking him down a peg, mainly because his Zeta, Emperor of the Galactic Empire. When a debuff expires, you're getting a ton of turn meter for Empire and Sith allies. This used to be one of the top Zetas in the game, but obviously with Traya, and then Jedi Knight Revan, then Vassula, Commander Luke Skywalker, C-3PO, and Chewbacca, and then all the other things in between, this has seen a reduction in viability. But the reason why we're putting him on here is because Emperor Palpatine is a character, if you do things right, this is a character you should unlock very early on if you have the Phoenix Squad. And if you get your first Zeta, which you might have a collection of Empire characters because you need those Empire characters for R2-D2, this really supercharges those super early beginning teams. And for a lot of people that I see are looking for their first Zeta, they just met the level. Emperor Palpatine, for a lot of people, is the way to go because this is the most powerful team pretty much until you start facing Jedi Knight Revan and Traya. More love, unfortunately, for the Rebels. We're going to talk about Commander Luke Skywalker, and this guy bumped up quite a few pegs on our list. He used to be in the bottom 10, the bottom part of our list here, but now he's getting into the top 5 on our list. And I always would talk about how It Binds All Things is one of the better Zetas to invest in, and I still stand by that. This is definitely a great Zeta, but we're not actually talking about It Binds All Things on this list because Jedi Knight Revan is the most significant thing to happen since September when we did this list last time. Rebel Maneuvers, which I just Zetaed recently because I switched over to Commander Luke Skywalker and C-3PO, Han Solo, and Chewbacca and R2-D2. This Zeta is so important because Revan teams have a lot of tenacity at the beginning, and characters like Jolie, which is a staple character for Revan teams, this is so important because every time these detrimental effects are being resisted by a Revan team, we're getting 5% turn meter for each and every one of those debuffs. So if you have Chewbacca and C-3PO, for example, every time Han Solo is attacking on his basic at the beginning, he's applying exposes, he's trying to remove turn meter and whatnot, and every single time those are being resisted, you're getting a bunch of turn meter right here. So a lot of debuffs being applied in C-3PO. He applies a lot of the debuffs on his basic. So if they resist all 3 of the things he's trying to do on his basic, right there, you're getting 15% turn meter on your team. So Rebel Maneuvers is really a must-have. If you're competing against Jedi Knight Revan and you want to make sure Commander Luke Skywalker is as successful as possible, Rebel Maneuvers is so important. And even if you're not really using it for Jedi Knight Revan, for other things, tenacity is such a staple part of the game. This character is meant, he was designed to go up against Captain Rex, which was one of the kings in arena, and tenacity, seeing how important it is in other areas of the game. Rebel Maneuvers, you're gonna find a lot of ways to use it. Now, our favorite emo chick, Darth Trias. She was number 2 on our list last time, and now she's gonna be number 3. We're gonna talk about it. This, at one point, was, in my opinion, one of the most overpowered Zetas in the game. Lord of Betrayal. When this first came out, man, it was crazy. But now, because we have all these built-in exposed mechanics and a lot of exposes that are happening on the fly of C-3PO, we're seeing a reduction in the viability of this. Now it's not as special that you can cleanse your debuffs when you start your turn, because by the time you take your turn, most of your characters are dead because of Jedi Knight Revan or Commander Luke Skywalker. But still, very good Zeta. If you have Palpatine and his Zeta or no Palpatine Zeta, this is a very logical step to go to because Sith being able to cleanse themselves at the start of their turn is huge. It's a built-in cleanse mechanic, and cleansing, like tenacity, is a very powerful mechanic. Now, although this Zeta and really Darth Trias as a whole really isn't all that important for the raids, but arguably Arena, Grand Arena, and Territory Wars are three of the most important aspects of the game, and Darth Trias, some people don't have Darth Trias. If you have Darth Trias and her Zeta on Lord of Betrayal, and the other person doesn't that you're going up against in Grand Arena, for example, you're pretty much almost guaranteed to win, assuming they don't have Revan or C-3PO and Chewbacca. This is almost a guaranteed victory card right here. So that's why we got to put it on here, because Grand Arena is now a new important aspect of the game, and she still is the second most important character in Arena right now. So in our last list, Jedi Training Rey was number 1, but she's going to be number 2 on our list this time. Not because so much she lost viability, she actually increased in viability again because of Chewbacca and then C-3PO. We see that Jedi Training Rey can take on these Revan teams, and as I showed with my Finn Zeta solo video, her leadership ability and C-3PO allows the resistance to solo and mostly auto the AAT raid. Finn Zeta is definitely the better character to use if you want to solo the AAT raid, but Jedi Training Rey is generally the better character to use if you want to try to take out those Jedi Knight Revan teams, which we see in Territory Wars and in Grand Arena. If you don't have Jedi Knight Revan and the other team does, the cards are stacked against you. But having Jedi Training Rey with C-3PO and her leadership inspirational presence because of all the exposed synergy going on, very, very, very important right here. And kind of like how I said, she's great for Arena, Grand Arena, Territory Wars, pretty much every single game mode. You can use this Zeta, even the raids, the Sith raid, one of the best teams to use for phase 1 of the Sith raid and phase 2, and then she's very good in the AAT raid if you have C-3PO. So again, great overall character right here. Not number 1 anymore, but still a very good character, and the Zeta, it's been pretty much timeless for the past year or so. Now lastly, we gotta talk about the Zetas that broke the game, and I don't even have the character unlocked. That's Jedi Knight Revan, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty much every single one of his Zetas are very important, but the most important one to talk about, the one that really changed things in the game, is this paragraph of a leadership ability. Oh my goodness, it's so long. Things are getting complicated in this game, but this is just so important. You're getting all this protection regeneration when the people are attacking out of turn. You're getting 35% more damage. This guy was meant to counter Darth Trias. Every single little thing in the Zeta pretty much counters Darth Trias. Darth Trias was a counter to people attacking out of turn. Well, Jedi Knight Revan kind of compensates for all the things that the Darth Trias-led team did. Jedi Knight Revan, man, if you have Jedi, pair him with him, you have the best team in the game. He's great for the Sith raid. He's great for the AAT raid. Grand Arena, if the other team doesn't have Revan or Trias or C-3PO, Chewbacca, Han Solo, and maybe Jedi Training Rey, well, chances are, just put your Revan on defense, you won. Revan is the paywall. He's been the ultimate paywall character. You pay $400 at the first time he came around, you got the best character in the game, and people are getting their money's worth, and that leadership ability is pretty much crucial. If you want to make sure you dominate in the game and checkmate your opponent, this Zeta is absolutely mandatory. And that's going to be our top 10 list for the month of January 2019. I'm going to show you an honorable mentions list right now. And it's funny, Jedi Knight Revan was the most significant thing, of course, but C-3PO and Chewbacca were the other two significant things that came at the later part of 2018. And we're not having either of them on the list. That doesn't mean they're bad characters. In fact, that means they're actually very good characters without the Zetas. The Zetas do add some nice little things for those characters, but you don't really need them for those characters to really excel in the game. So because of that, we have other stuff in our honorable mentions list, but hopefully this list was helpful for you guys. I mean, of course, this list is bound to change again 3 months from now. I'm hoping a lot of other things get added that mixes up this list, but right now, guys, that is what I think is going to be your top 10 plus 5 honorable mentions list. Let me know down below, what are your top 10 Zetas in the game? Which ones do you like? Which ones do you don't like? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment down below, like the video if you did enjoy it, and subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And until the next video. Rework, Grievous, rework, Grievous. CG, get your act together and rework, Grievous, rework, Grievous, rework, Grievous. Come on, CG, don't make me pray to Jesus. Rework.